I'm
I'm
multitasking on my other computer right now.
Yep. Are you working?
No,
It's
I'm
literal.
not.
Okay.
It
Oh,
never goes well when I try to do that. So I
no, me
try
either.
to, whatever.
What are you
Okay.
doing? What are you doing? What is this? Is this
I'm,
is this different from this? We're going to start the show with our real estate goggles
we
on.
already started it.
Okay. So we do have topics. I know we're having fun, but maybe you'd like to have some fun too. So today we are talking about agency and refinances. And I don't care which we start with because we'll end up merging them together. Okay. My topic today comes out of something I am dealing with right now. And I know that's shocking. That's where all of my topics come from. And I'm yelling because this is super fucking important. So thing one, let's talk about
Later we have to talk about taxable value after you sell the house based on the little blurb we had.
So that is a topic for a whole show. And I didn't announce
it,
so we'll cover it again.
So, but everybody else does.
No,
but anyway, go ahead.
Well, I think so because there are so many rabbit trails, but this is serving as a rabbit trail for agency. So
okay,
let's talk really quickly about agency in Michigan. And this is I'm overcomplicating something that's very simple, and the entire state of Michigan has overcomplicated something that's very simple. So agency means that it's a representative role, right? So if you are, I'm going to give you the easiest example. If you hire me to sell your house, I am your listing agent. I represent the best interests of the sellers. So here's how it usually goes when I meet with a client. We have to talk about this form called a disclosure regarding real estate agency relationships. And this form exists primarily because because agents would represent buyers and sellers in the same transaction, and buyers would feel like they got represented when in fact the agent was always working for the best interest of the seller. So over the years, that's no longer necessarily inherently true. So we have to have a conversation on the front end where we define our relationship. And if I meet with you and you tell me about you're near bankrupt and you have to make at least $15,000 on the sale of this house and your brother is dying and you need to move, I'm making all of this shit up. But this is what happens. It's very much like bartending sometimes. I get to hear all your dirty shit.
You do.
So now I have the inside story on the leveraging for selling your house. And I say this because I'm very passionate about it. So you hire me subsequently to list and market and sell your house. And my job in an agency role, and we'll talk a little bit later about fiduciary too, but as your agent, my job is to look out for your best interest and represent and advocate while always backing your play. And what I mean by that is I may recommend, hey, this is what I recommend professionally that you do. But as my client, if you say, Rachel, I think that's stupid, I want to do this other thing, well, guess what? I'm going to do the other thing that you said, as long as you're making an informed decision, and I'll fight to the death to get it the way you want it.
Right.
But what also happens in real estate is sometimes somebody will call me because my name and number's on that sign in front of your house. And they'll say, hey, Rachel, I see you have 123 Main Street for sale. I'd like to see it. I know 123 Main Street, always. It's the best property. Yeah. And I, of course, since it's my job to sell that property for the best possible scenario for my seller, you bet your ass I'm going to show it to you and tell you how amazing it is, and not convince you, but highlight all of the ways that this property is going to meet your needs as a buyer. Mm-hmm. And now this is just me personally. Sometimes that buyer does not have anyone representing them. So the agent who has the sign in front will say, well, I can write the contract and I'll get you this house. And it's called dual agency. And it is also called double dipping. And I'm stopping because I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble from agents, because I always get in trouble from agents and brokers when I say this, but I think it's a load of fucking shit. Because how am I I already know your seller backstory and all the fucking details, and my job is to work for you. So if I also am trying to get the property as a buyer agency to work and advocate for the best interest of the excuse me, of the buyer, how can I do that? It's like playing chess against myself. Now, I can see a tiny sliver where I'm uniquely positioned in that I can see all of the facts and all of the opinion. Yes, I have these on, but it's what I feel like it's one of those scenarios where it's all well and good until it's not. And if it's not, it's really not. I feel like there's a huge risk of overlooking something or not doing the proper representation for both the buyer and the seller when you're trying to represent both the buyer and the seller. I don't know. Anyway, so that's agency, right? Like you sign up to represent a party. The nice thing about dual agency in Michigan, if you are going to do it or deal with an agent who's trying to do it, they're supposed to disclose to you and you're supposed to sign a piece of paper that says that you understand and agree to the fact that this person is representing your best interest and the other party's best interest. And that's a little bit different than there's also something called transaction coordinator, which is representing the transaction, pushing the paper. Buyer and seller already have all their terms. I'm just herding all the cats to make sure that it comes to fruition. Anyway, I feel like I just gave a freaking lecture, but there's a lot of non-disclosure
you
around
use the word
agents.
agency a lot in lieu of realtors. So I'm just giving you my feedback. Like
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying,
do it.
agency,
Talk me through it.
agency. So what the fuck does that mean? Are you talking about a realtor? Like seller has a realtor, buyer has a realtor, and then
Yes.
when they use the same realtor,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
like
Sorry, because you know, and
I know the answer, but you.
Yep. No,
you
and
use the words people aren't used to using.
Yep. And here's why. In my world, and this is where you get like bogged down in your profession, realtor is a specific type of agent. Like anybody, I can be a real estate agent in Michigan, licensed agent, and not be a realtor. Yes, exactly. That your note to yourself.
Yep.
Okay, well, your job is to tell me when I'm not speaking English because it feels like English to me. Yes. So thank you.
Yes.
So yes. So let's finish this because if you are in the market for a realtor, what you're actually in the market for, I just belched, sorry, what you're actually in the market for, what you're actually in the market for is an agent, and if you want a agent who holds themselves to a higher standard, you want a realtor. And it's realtor, not realturd or realtor. Realtor. As an I? No. No, I mean, we think we're being funny right now, but there are important things to be cognizant of. If you're working with somebody, just be clear on if they're working for only you or working for you and someone else, and just make an informed decision. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I'll shut up.
I want to know why you wanted to talk about this today.
Okay, so
There's gotta be a story. Like why I understand why it matters.
Okay,
to have somebody on your side in the transaction.
Yes, and so there's a tiny little overlap. Actually, this topic came up in a class that I'm taking where we were talking about other types of agency and fiduciary, like fiduciary. And if you hire me as your agent, I also have I have a legal and fiduciary obligation to look out for your best interest.
Fiduciary is a big word. I know what it means. Say what it means.
Fiduciary is I got to look out for your money. I'm not worried about lining my pocket. I'm worried about the financial impact to you as my client over and above, regardless of what happens to me or my company. It's you,
or the
like
buyer.
It's you, or a buyer on the other side. Absolutely, if I'm representing the seller.
Yes.
But there's a thread that overlaps with some bullshit that I am dealing with right now. And I
yes. We love it.
So I don't even know where to like crack into the topic, but okay. So I'm representing a seller in a transaction and I'm advocating for his best interest. And there's an agent on the other side representing the buyer. And that motherfucker keeps trying to ask me for the code to the property to give to his client. Like after the inspection, the buyer wanted to go in there and measure for carpet. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Now I use an electronic access electronic lock boxes with an access system that requires an agent to have an app on their phone, and only a licensed agent can get in there. And I can see a record of all the parties that have been in and out of the house. Now, some agents still use old-fashioned combo lock boxes, and they have a place, right? Like if I wanted to give you as a homeowner a code so you could let your friend in, I don't know. I mean, they're kind of handy.
So the lock boxes have a key in them. You put in the password, the key is there, and you can get in. Okay, so wait, hold them up again. That one was
this is like an electronic lockbox.
Okay, and that's the one on the system, and any realtor, if they have the code, it's got the R, it's got the realtor R on it.
Yes, and they have barcodes, so these are trackable. And in order to open this, I have to have a special app on my phone that identifies me as me. It's fingerprint or passcode activated, so I can't give Cassandra my app to get into this property. The listing agent, like if I'm listing the property, I can create a 1-day code and give it to Cassandra specifically, and I'll be able to see when she opens it. I have an access log that I can go look at to see that, oh, I assigned a 1-day code to Cassandra and she used it at 11 o'clock.
So that helps sellers. It ensures the property is not randomly entered by anybody that's not trackable. That one, I would imagine, is less secure.
1988. Anybody who knows, and how many codes do you think any one agent use? If you ever see one of these on one of my listings, the code is fucking 1988. Everybody knows it. You showed more than 4 of my properties in my market. There's one agent in Fowlerville who uses the same fucking code. Like, I don't even look. Not using these. So if I'm driving by and I see if I were a piece of shit agent, I would be like, hey, Mr. Buyer, I know you're looking for this property. Go check it out. Here's the code. I mean, I'm being a little bit melodramatic to make a point. But this buyer's agent, who's supposed to be representing the best interest of his buyer, just to bring it home, wanted to just let his client go in there. And I said, no, like, you either go or pay an agent to sit in your stead, because a buyer's not supposed to be unattended in a property. It's not their fucking house yet. And then the closing is supposed to, so anyway, I busted his chops because I'm advocating for my client. I'm not trying to be difficult. This has zero impact on the contract, so I'm not fucking shit up. I'm just holding the standard high.
You're just saying you need to go with him.
Yeah, I'm saying, hey, we're professionals, so I expect you to do your job too. I'm not going to lower my standard because you're too busy or too lazy.
Sure.
Or too cheap, because you can always pay somebody to go. Anyway, this closing is supposed to happen next week. And the agent's like, oh, my client would like to do a walkthrough at this time. How should he access the home? Well, you fucking go.
With them?
Fucking go. Let them in if they want to walk through. You're advocating and representing. And I mean, that 48-hour, there's a walkthrough clause. Usually the language in my market says the buyer has a right to do a walkthrough of the property to verify condition up to 48 hours prior to closing. So that's what he's talking about. They have every right to do it. And it's his job to execute. Because until my client has money and the deed has been transferred, that property doesn't belong to the other party. They can't fucking go traipse around. Sorry, yeah.
If there's dual agency and there's one realtor representing both,
yeah,
the realtor would bring the buyer in and walk them through as well, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Super so why convenient. Would a realtor want to just, is it laziness? Why would a realtor just be like, give me the code so I can let him in so we can measure and so we can just walk through? I don't want to be there.
It is. I think realtors often lose sight of the fact, because we have to do a lot of annoying stuff, time consuming.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. So let's say I have to go do a walkthrough that's 45 minutes in the opposite direction of the closing that's over here. So now it's I'm not defending it at all. If I'm
be taking stuff that far out of your market.
But it's not. I don't pick where the closing is. So if I'm representing a buyer and my buyer wants to buy a house in White Lake and the listing agent's in Pontiac or the listing agent's in, I don't know, Ann
That's a
Arbor.
regional thing, because here we can pick it and they'll just both sign separate. The seller
Okay.
doesn't always get to pick where the closing is.
No, well, and that now you're going into another topic, which is a new development. It's always been an option, but the custom has converted quickly due to COVID and all of the like shifts that everybody made to keep
Sure.
business. We are now having true split closings, but now I need to get the keys. So if my client's buying a house in White Lake again, I'm closing in Brighton and the seller's closing in Plymouth. How do I got to get the keys, presuming there's no occupancy conversation. So, and it's not hard. I mean, a fucking monkey could do it. You figure out how to get the keys.
It's just time.
Driving, time and coordinating and schedule balancing.
Sure.
It's annoying sometimes, but not
This
so.
is why so
I'm
many
not,
realtors have admins and
well,
assistants.
except your admin, unless they have a license, is not allowed to go to the property and go in it. They can't have the code. You have to
But
have
they
a
can
license.
retrieve the keys and stuff like that, right? And return them to you. Or
Ah.
are they not supposed to do any, like, I could have an assistant, but if
So,
they don't have their license, they
hear
can't
me
pull
out.
credit or ask any questions or talk about rate or anything.
So let's go back to this key conversation because it's annoying. I am the listing agent. The buyer is represented by the buyer's agent. I have to go collect my lockbox and my booty basket and my hand sanitizer now and all of this whole fucking table display that I have for your safety and mine.
Yeah.
Right? Now I got to go pick up my shit, plus my sign panel and any flyer boxes and other weird crap that I leave at a property to sell it. I got to go pick that up. But the key that's in the box goes to the other party. If they did a walkthrough yesterday and we're closing today, the key is still in the lockbox. I'm now closing in this town. They're closing in this town. How do you propose we get them the key? I can't convey it until after the deed is done. The only answer I can find is to buy a bunch of these, put them on my listings, leave it as a gift for the buyer, and give them their own special code. That's my solution. After closing, I can be like, oh, the code is 1234. There's still liability though, because what if they just break open the box? I don't know.
I don't know what that solution is.
And we're on a stupid rabbit trail. The point is, if you have an agent, they're supposed to be doing some stuff for you and make sure that they're representing you as the buyer. And if you have a license, like, just take a second to think about these things. Like you are navigating and advocating for someone who does this 3 or 4 times in their entire life. And you do it every day. So you know what to look for. You know what to ask.
So
you know the questions.
I would disagree and tell you that there are plenty of realtors who close like 2 transactions a year, if that.
Are you really disagreeing with me? Are you really? No, it is easy to get your license.
I know.
It's unfortunate. I shouldn't see, now I feel like a hypocrite, right? Because it was easy to get a license.
And if you have your license and you're not good, you're the kind of person who goes, how does my person get in there? But if you're a true advocate and a true professional, like
so the fucked up thing about this guy is I think he does a fair amount of business. I guess I could go, I'm not one to go look up another agent's numbers. Maybe I should. Maybe I should start doing that. But we've all been new, like, you can be new and still be good at your stuff.
Sure, the integrity portion.
Anyway, so agency matters. Just know who's on your side. And if you're a buyer and you don't have representation, just be very careful when you call the listing agent for every house you want to see. Because you're like, hey, can I see this house? You're like making everything 10 times harder for yourself, and it's not going to save you any money.
True.
It can from a big picture, bingo. Yes. Anyway, let's talk about refinances. Forget this agency shit. Let's talk about a refi. Let's talk about sometimes you might think you want to sell your house, and then when you look at everything, it might make more sense to refinance.
Sure. Well, it
depending
depends
on your
what the
goals.
Are.
Always.
It depends on your goals. Always. I have people inquiring about refinances all the time. Often lately because rates are so low.
Yeah.
I do a lot of numbers, a lot of options, and tell people it's not worth it I mean, I could obviously close it and make money and give them a lower rate, but I swear to God, it's not always about that rate.
Yeah.
It is not. Sometimes just doesn't make sense.
Can we talk about because I did not know this. I've done a couple of refis over the past couple of years. And one thing that was news to me is the difference between like not a cash out refi, recasting the
A
term.
recast?
Well, one was keeping, like I had 23 years left on my mortgage, and one scenario kept the 23 years, and another scenario put me back into a 30-year, and the interest rate was different, or it was a key distinction. Am I talking about the right thing?
Probably. So as like the interest rate, right? Where I say you can pick any rate you want.
Yeah.
Truly, you can. And
Yeah.
one might cost you money, one might save you money. You can also pick your loan term. Some lenders won't do it, but I have been doing a lot of loans where it's a 28-year, 27-year, 26-year. These are loans I closed 3-4 years ago, right? A 16-year. You can pick your term so that you're taking advantage of the lower rate, but you're not adding years to your mortgage.
Right. But when
Yeah.
I feel like when you ran those scenarios for me, the interest rate on one was better than the interest rate on another. And that's probably because they're making it up with time.
Well, a lot of it has to do with risk, but so that's totally separate. That actually went inverted not long ago. So normally, the shorter the term, the better the rate. Historically, you want a shorter mortgage term, you're less risky. I'm going to give you a better rate. They're going to make their money, but they're going to get it back faster, if that makes sense. You know how many people stay in their house for 30 years? Nobody. But 15 years, they got a good chance of making at least 10 years of interest off you. So they'll give you a lower rate because you're less risk and you'll be off the books soon. But if that's all, this is a rabbit hole, that's all tied to mortgage-backed securities. And for a while there, the 15-year rates were the same as a 30-year rate. Like it used to be like 15-year rates were almost 1% lower.
Yeah.
And now
so you'd be incentivized to consider it.
Exactly. And now they're about 0.25% lower.
Why is that? Is it
right in line?
Is it the guaranteed longer stream of income? The payback? Why?
Part of it.
Okay.
That's part of it. You have to look at the mortgage-backed securities portion of it and how those are trading and what the recoupment is and the risk. And they have been in a god-awful tailspin since COVID. They've stabilized, so rates are good. They're fantastic, actually. But with all the uncertainty, lenders aren't willing to give that much better pricing on a 15-year than a 30-year.
So your better scenario, again, not financial advice, might be to stick with that 30-year and just make a higher payment, carve down that principal.
Yes, I just did numbers for a girl. She bought 3 years ago and was looking at numbers on a 15-year, right? So she's got 17 or 27 years left, and could she shave off 12 years? She totally could shave off 12 years. It would lower her payment about the rate reduction, right? Anyway, I told her it's not worth it. I said, just pay $100 more a month. You'll be at the same place and you know what I mean? You'll be paid off in 15 years. And because a lot of it depends on the loan amount, right? Those lower loan amounts. And I'm telling people with a loan under $100,000, you better get a really good rate reduction to make it worth it, because you're only going to save, $50 a month, but you're going to pay $2,000 for the closing. Plus you got to set up another escrow account. You're looking at $4,000 to $5,000, increasing your loan amount by $4,000 to $5,000 to save $50 a month. How the fuck does that make sense? I mean, but I tell people no all the time. I don't tell them no. I say
you advise them maybe reconsider. Yeah, this doesn't make big picture, depending on your goals, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some radical scenario where that $50 extra cash flow a month is necessary, even if it's going to cost $5,000 to buy it. But I can't find that scenario.
I know. It makes sense for some single mom who doesn't even have enough money for diapers. Like, that makes sense. Got it. I get that it does make sense.
Yes, sometimes. But she'd have to have that fucking $7,000 or now it's $2,000 to close.
Nope. you can put it into your mortgage as long as you have enough equity in your home. So you
Oh,
can
yeah.
just increase
That
your
makes
loan
sense.
amount, which kind of stinks when you go to sell it, but it
Okay,
depends what the purpose is.
so that's a
Sorry.
good no, it's a good segue to a conversation about a cash out refi, because your same scenario that you just did, if that girl bought her house 3 years ago, I mean, the market has been very healthy.
Yes.
She might have enough equity to grab 25 grand out of her house.
Right.
Right. So instead of, let's say she had $150,000 mortgage, which is, you can't buy anything for that amount. Let's
Not where you are.
Let's bump it up.
Still buy stuff here.
Yeah. All right. So let's meet in the middle and say 200 grand.
Sure.
She bought it 3 years ago for 200 grand. Now it's worth I'll say 250, just so I can make sure there's enough room to have that 80-20. Don't you have to only borrow 80% of the value of your house if you're doing an equity loan?
So on a cash out refinance, you
Yes.
must maintain you must maintain 20% ownership of your home. So you can get a loan for up to 80% of the value of your home. It'll pay off your first mortgage, cover any fees, and then you'll get a check back for the difference.
And that is different than a home equity loan, because a home equity loan is a separate note entirely. And a cash out refi is grabbing that equity and having a whole new larger mortgage to replace
paying
your
off
old
your
one.
old mortgage and starting a new mortgage with a higher amount. Yeah. So the good thing about doing that is that you have a fixed rate for a set term versus a HELOC, which is typically HELOC is short for Home Equity Line of Credit. HELOC. I strongly urge you to go to your credit union. I can do them. Credit unions do them the absolute best.
What kind of rates are they? Aren't they like 10-year, 6% variable rate scams?
It's a 10-year line of credit. Think of it like a credit card that's got a lien on your house. So it's a 10-year term. It's open for 10 years. You take a draw. It's called a draw, basically swiping your card and taking money. So once you swipe, your interest starts. You must pay at least the interest as the minimum payment. You have 10 years to pay it back. You can swipe as many times as you want, depending on your line of credit, right? Say you have a $20,000 line of credit, you can swipe for 10, swipe for 5, and the interest rate is variable, which is what freaks people out.
Yes, that's freaking me out.
I mean, it used to be it's always been that way, but it didn't used to be a big deal. And after 2008, people are like, nope, I'm not doing that. But they're great. Like they're great to have open all the time. I will say that. Like, I personally think that if you own your home and you have a good amount of equity, have a home equity line of credit open. It's there to pull from if you need it. It's cheaper than borrowing money off a credit card. You don't have to go through the struggle of opening it when you need it, right? And waiting, because it takes like 3 weeks to open it, but it's just there sitting, waiting for you to use it. It costs you nothing to use it if you have no balance.
So how do they, generally speak? No, because I mean, I'm having those same thoughts as you're articulating them, thinking like, okay, a scenario where that would make sense. Let's say I don't have liquid cash. My furnace croaks in the middle of winter. And now what am I going to do? I'm either going to put it on a credit card, $15,000 at 20%. Sure. Great idea financially.
Finance it with the company that's putting it in.
Yep. Or just buy it and have it in my home equity line of credit. How do they calculate those interest rates? If it's variable, is it like, where do they run?
It's tied to, so it used to be tied to LIBOR. It's tied to something else now. It's basically the overnight trading index plus the margin. So I know I'm using big words. It's basically, this is what people borrow at, right? So you're paying at least this, and then the margin is the profit that the credit union will make on you. So if it's a 3% margin, they're going to add it on top of it. So it's stacked, and it depends on the day. So this is static, right? The margin, right? This is my comp, right? This is my cut.
Okay.
This is what you're paying me.
So let's just hypothetically say
this is the variable. This is the variable.
So attach something to this one. So this is your comp. It's 2% over whatever this is doing. So if this
Yes.
goes up, you're still 2% higher. If this goes way down, it's still 2% higher.
Yes, and
Right?
it depends on the day you take the draw, right?
Okay, so does it lock in the day I borrow the money?
Usually it's tied to the day you swipe the card and take the money out. Yeah.
So if I swipe the card and take $10,000 out on a day when this is no, it was this one. This is 2 and it's 2%.
That's always 2. Yes.
So if I swipe, but then it takes me 5 years to pay it back, it's not varying every month. It's literally goes back to the point in time that I took the money.
Oh boy, I might have to take this part of my Con Ed class again. I don't do HELOCs, but the variable rate nature of it, from my recollection, and anybody chime in if I'm wrong, is tied to the date of the draw. The margin doesn't change, but there's always a cap as well.
No, the margin wouldn't change.
Month to month?
No, the margin wouldn't change, but the base rate changes.
The base could change. The margin doesn't change.
Understood.
Yeah.
But so my question is, if I take the money out on a day when the base rate is 2%, and 1 month later the base rate goes up to 3%, but when it was 2, I took out 10 grand, I'm not locking in at 2. Because
so
it went up.
Okay, you got to stop asking me questions because now I feel like an idiot. Now I have to go and research. But I think it's tied to the day that you take it out. It doesn't fluctuate up and down every month. But now I feel like I got to double check.
Interesting. No, that's important too, because I automatically have always assumed that if you're in a variable rate, it's going to vary every month. So I may borrow it at the 2%.
But a HELOC's a little different than a variable.
Understand. Well, I'm learning that now, but I always thought that if I borrowed a 2% base and a 2%, what did you call it? Margin. And the next month, if rates went up to 6%, now I'm up to fucking 8%. That fear of getting raped on the rate.
But there's always a cap. Just so everybody knows, there's always a cap where the base plus the margin cannot exceed. Even if they do exceed it added together, they can't exceed it.
So it can never go higher than, depending on my own HELOC terms, let's say it's 8%. I'll never, worst case scenario, even if interest rates go to 18, it'll never be as bad as my freaking credit card.
Exactly. It'll never be as bad as 23.44 or whatever. But anyway, so I'll go back to refinances. It's a great time to refinance. Even if you're not sure, it's a great time to call whoever did your mortgage or text a loan officer that you know.
Should I refinance if I just did it in February?
No, I know. We talked about this. I can do your numbers
again.
I
refied in February.
I refied in February, so we'll just whatever. But so call, text your person, but as you do it, just hear me out here. Get a copy of your recent mortgage statement, take a photo of it and text it to your mortgage person and say, does it make sense for me to refinance? That's all you have to say. But your current mortgage statement's kind of a big deal because I can see your rate. I can see your loan balance, which is really helpful. I can see usually your taxes and your insurance. So people it's like one of the most critical pieces. Otherwise, I'm fucking guessing. I'm just guessing. So
like hypotheticals.
Yeah. If your balance, I'm doing fake numbers. So it looks like you bought for this much. And then if I assume you haven't paid a penny extra towards interest or done anything weird, I think this is your balance.
This is like the shadow boxing negotiation that people like to do. Sorry, Jim posted something and I'm trying to get to his comment.
He said you started without me.
I know. We always start at 10:30. Where were you? That's what I want to say.
On the Zoom call sometime, Jim.
I think he did.
We do not have like a ton of viewers. Maybe we need to talk about something more interesting.
OMG.
What?
Nothing.
Okay.
I was getting the audio from the delayed stream.
Oh, that had
and you talking. It was awesome. It was awesome in my head.
But anyway, it's a great time to refinance. Every loan officer is super busy, not only with refinances. I closed 10 since July 1st.
Are you shitting me?
I'm not shitting you. I've been so tired, but they're going pretty quick. Rates are, under 3 for almost everybody. But it's purchase season too. So
this is why, if you're in the I don't know, I got two competing things to say. This industry is so freaking dynamic because on one hand, I've got loan officers that are like, I will do my best to close you in 30 days, but ask for 45. And that's like, let me just tell you, people, loan officers like try to earn business based on they can close in under 30 days. So this is weird. But it's because they're all fucking log jammed and locked up and so busy with so many files. But on
what
the
did
other
I ask you
side,
about the other file the other day?
hold on, let me finish this because you're derailing me. On the other side, I've got lenders like Cassandra waiving appraisals, and I'm clear to close in 7 days. Like, we're ready to close, and now we're just all waiting around for the seller to pack their shit and move out so we can close. So it's either going to take forever or it's going to happen instantly. That normalcy middle ground is like gone. I don't know. What did you ask me?
Do you want to know why that is?
I think I know why.
Why do you think it is? Why do you think some take 45 days and some are taking 7?
Well, in part, if you have to go through all of the steps, including the appraisal, so you're adding in finding the appraiser, waiting for him to get out to the house. Step 1 takes 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
If he's running on time, hold on. Then he gets out there, and then you got to wait for him to upload the fucking paper. And then you got to wait for the underwriter to approve it. And then she or he is going to want something fixed, and it goes back to the appraiser. You are adding like 14 days.
Can I tell you?
Yes.
So you're adding literally one document, which should not, in theory, add 30 fucking days to the transaction. If I was not getting a property inspection waiver, meaning I don't need an appraisal.
No, appraisal waiver or inspection. Hold on. You said inspection waiver and they're different.
It's called a PIW. It's a property inspection waiver.
Okay.
Also known as an appraisal waiver. I mean,
so on my side, just so you know, inspection waiver is a separate thing. Well, I'm saying it for the people.
Okay,
I know
so
you know.
the appraisal waiver. So
yes.
Anyway, if I had a file that I knew needed to close quickly and I was trying to get business from the realtors and look like a fucking rock star and I still need an appraisal, I would order the appraisal on day 1 with a rush fee and have that thing back in 5 days.
So, and a good agent knows to ask for those things.
Yeah.
But now let's imagine that we're in this environment. So for as many refis as you're doing right now, and now I'm going to come to you with my not so perfect buyer who wants to overpay for an FHA mortgage, overbid on a house. So he's got to have they can start getting sticky quickly. And the sticky ones we used to be able to do in like 30 days. And now it's a bit of a struggle.
They're still feasible to do in 30 days as long as they're organized right out of the gate. I mean, but I will say there are lenders, like I know, I won't say the names of any lenders. There are lenders that are at a week, 10 days, 14 days for initial underwrite. And as a broker, I just fucking don't use them because I'm going to miss contract. Even if I submit a full file and it takes them 15 days to look at everything and say everything's perfect. There's no underwriter on the face of the planet that will do, hey, that's perfect, you're clear to close. They always have to make something up in their mind. Give me a letter explaining that address from 8 years ago on their credit report, and then you got to get in line again. But so it's a lot of it's about where you put the loan. Order everything on day 1, title on day 1, homeowners insurance on day 1, appraisal on day 1.
Yeah. If your listing agent's not ordering your preliminary title policy, like when you list your property, just hire somebody else or ask the question. Be like, hey, can you order my title policy when you put the sign in the yard, not a week before closing, please? Oh.
So I do a lot of refinances. I literally have been ordering title from 2 companies. One of them has a seat and they close quick and they will drive to anybody's house. And
I know who that is.
I know, they're amazing. I won't use anybody else. Even if it's in the same city, I will order from this title company and they will drive and close at that person's house. And I get title in like 3 days. And why?
Because they are the fucking, they
They
issue
are
their
amazing.
own policies.
Yes, they do. So just for everybody who title, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of companies that do title work, but there's only a handful of companies that actually insure the property and issue the policy. So
Everybody else is a middleman
a million
overlay.
middlemen trying to underwrite by these 5 people. So instead of using a middleman, I go to one of the largest ones in the country and order directly from them, and it saves you money, it saves time, and they're fantastic. There's lots. The other company I use from is a middleman, but they're awesome. They're amazing, and they're local.
I just started migrating some files over to a middleman just to see. There's some politics on the back end of that conversation, but I've never used them before.
I've seen them. I can give you feedback on them if you'd like.
Well, we can have that conversation privately.
I know.
I will say, a driver there though there is one. It always comes down to the people, right? And there is one fucking rock star who is there and is the only reason that my files go there, because she is incredible.
There's always a rock star everywhere, which drives
there are some
business.
companies that have no rock stars, or they're maybe in offices and away from where I have to deal with them. Anyway.
Yeah.
Nothing new under the sun. Our industry. Yeah.
I was going to say, that's all I got for refinances. Just take a look at it, send them your mortgage statement, and just see if it's worth it. And make sure it makes sense.
And make sure you're asking somebody who's going to tell you if it makes sense, not if they can get you a thing. Because Cassandra, like you said, I could send you my mortgage statement and you could totally be like, yep, I'm going to make money off of her and package it in a way where it looks like she's saving money.
I looked at my friends.
Your phone is ringing.
Yeah, sorry.
I have to acknowledge it.
You feel the buzz? Okay, so I just looked at my friends sent me refinance numbers from their current servicer because they can roll the escrow account over. There were reasons that they went and got the quote. They sent me 3. I'm just going to say the 30-year mortgage had a rate of 2.75 at a cost in discount points, which we talked about in episode 7.
Last week, didn't we?
Over $8,000. So they were proposed the smoking hot rate of 2.75 at a cost of $8,000. Does that make sense? Without having a friend's eyes to look at and go, do you see that they just increased your loan amount by $14,000 and $8,000 of that is the pleasure of an interest rate that I could get you for free for a credit? Anyway, but you want somebody to look at it and go, yeah, that makes sense. You're getting hosed, or this
that would be,
make sense.
taking on the role of a fiduciary. Good job. Seriously. And that's, if we're going to leave you with anything at all, it's just make sure that your advocates are your advocates. Make sure that who's working for you is actually working for you.
Not for themselves. Because just so you guys know, Rachel and I don't get paid until a file closes.
Right.
Ever.
We work for free until you get your way.
Yes. So it's in our best interest that the file closes. However, we're both pretty moral and our parents raised us right. We got to sleep at night and we believe in karma.
Well, and it's never in my best interest, because that shit comes back to bite you. A client who's unhappy and stuck with a $500,000 purchase that they hate and got fucked over on the way to getting it. You don't think they're going to tell everybody? I don't know, man. I can't stand people not liking me. So I'm going to do right by you to make sure you
I'm with you. I'm a middle kid. Are you kidding me?
I know, just love me, please.
Did I offend you? Can I do anything to make it better?
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So hard stop at 11:15. That's our commitment.
Yeah.
So thank you. And we'll come up with maybe we'll attack the tax proration topic on episode 11 next week. Bye.
Oh, I can do that. That would be awesome.
All right. Go do some real estate.
I'll do mortgaging.
Okay. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Love you too.